Eric, thanks very much for being with us here on RT. Now, the UN mandate for NATO's military mission expires next month. The question is, will NATO stay on beyond its mandate, do you think?
Oh, I have no doubt about that. The wording of the mandate may be changed to make it a more humanitarian-sounding mission, but NATO has invested a lot of money and effort into this operation, and the lure of oil is overpowered. NATO is obviously committed to staying in Libya, maybe a long stay.
Nevertheless, also the fact that the rebels are made up of what tribal factions, sectarian factions, it doesn't necessarily mean just because the rebels are won that we're going to see a peaceful future there in Libya, does it?
No, the only thing that we can safely say is that it looks like it's going to be a very confusing situation for quite a long time. For example, we don't know where Gaddafi is. He may be in the Bab el-Azizia barracks in downtown Tripoli, where I interviewed him for an evening once years ago. He vowed he would die fighting, or he may have left or gone into hiding. But the problem is that this so-called transitional government in Benghazi, traditional foe of Tripoli, Libya, was more or less created by the French. And half of its members are sort of exiles who are Western-oriented, been working with the West for a long time. But the other half, perhaps the majority, are Islamic militants. And so they're very strange bedfellows. And at this point, I don't see how they're going to get along.
Interesting you say that you actually met Gaddafi and you interviewed him. What do you make of his resolve, or some may say his timidness? He hasn't been seen in public. Nobody knows where he is at the moment. What's he going through at the moment? What is his plan, do you think?
Well, Gaddafi's been, he's President Reagan described him as the mad dog of the Middle East. He's certainly very eccentric and very odd, but he's also crazy like a fox because he's survived in power for 42 years after innumerable attempts to kill him. So he's obviously very weary, but he has vowed to fight to the death, and I wouldn't dismiss out of hand the fact that he's just being clownish or boasting about that. He does not have many escape routes open, maybe some areas in Black Africa, but he may take to the desert. Libya is a very large country, and try and rally some kind of guerrilla war against what he has described as a modern colonial reoccupation of Libya. And as an interesting sidebar, the countries that are most prominent in the reoccupation of Libya are France, Italy, and Britain, which all happen to be the former colonial powers of the region who used to compete with each other for influence and resources.
Now, you're a war correspondent. You're not a stranger to these sort of things. You just mentioned the scenario where Gaddafi could escape, perhaps. Do you think then the media is jumping to the conclusion too quickly that it is all over now and that Gaddafi's days are numbered? Or do you think Gaddafi really could survive this?
Well, he could. I really can't tell you now whether he may even be dead now, for all I know. President Obama is going to make a statement in a couple of hours, which may break some news. Gaddafi may have been captured. We just don't know. But I don't think he'll be taken too easily, though. His three sons have been captured, including the most fiery Saif al-Islam, without putting up a fight. So
yes, and then again, we hear that one of them has escaped with the help of loyalists. So that's interesting. It doesn't necessarily mean that they are in safe custody.
No, and one hears that there's a loyalist counteroffensive going on, and even rumors that the wily Gaddafi lured all these people into Tripoli, and his tribesmen are going to surround them and attack them. But really, this war is being fought by NATO. It's not being fought by this armed mob.
All right. Okay, Eric, just finally, this war is being fought by NATO. Presumably, they'll say, if it's all over very soon, it's won by NATO. But is that going to lead to the establishment of democracy in Libya, something the US and the EU are so vocal about?
Oh, I'd be willing to bet a lot of money against it. We're a long way away from seeing anything that looks like democracy in Libya, more like armed chaos for a long time.
Eric Margolis, always good to hear what you have to say. Thanks so much for your time. War correspondent, columnist and author, live in Toronto in Canada. Thank you. Thank you for joining us today. Just bring us, if you would, up to the minute. What is the situation in the hotel where you are now?
Well, the situation here is tense again. It's on, off. It feels like a roller coaster ride. armed men from the volunteers, Libyans, have entered the building. Young men, one of them is hurt. They don't want to be taped, so I can't go really in the hallways and tape them. And they've asked for help to be bandaged up. I implore the international community not to let the Transitional Council enter this facility or to come fight or pursue those soldiers in here at all.
So I'm sorry to interrupt you. Are you saying that there are rebel fighters that are seeking refuge and medical assistance in your hotel?
No, there are Libyan loyalists. The young men, some look like soldiers, some don't have uniforms. It's very hard to say if they're volunteers or soldiers. Have come in here. One is seeking, he got shot in the leg. They're saying the fight is still strong in Tripoli, but we heard gunfighting several hours ago. I heard gunfighting outside, and it was getting closer. We don't want them to storm in here. That would be catastrophic. And these are not disciplined, as everybody knows. They're not disciplined forces, and we have a wide array of people here from all over the world, from the United States to the People's Republic of China, to France, and myself from Canada. And this could be a very bad situation. We also have a U.S. congressman here with us as well, and he's going to be on a priority flight. Then, while the rest of, from what I hear, he might get a priority flight out of here, an evacuation with 4 or 5 other people, while the rest of us have to wait. I think that the international community really needs to pull an effort to get us out of here through the United Nations, and it has to be something that is outside of NATO.
All right, now so you brought us up to date there. You say there are a couple at least of Gaddafi loyalists that are seeking some sort of medical assistance in your hotel there. You're saying you're hearing gunfire. You have heard gunfire in recent hours, but
Yes.
what happened during the night? We know there was some looting. Can you perhaps show us any of the aftermath there?
Well, I don't know if you could see, they broke into all the rooms. They used chairs as ladders to steal the projectors in the rooms. They stole computers. They went through the rooms and stole things. They didn't seem violent, just young men who came to take what they could, opportunists. They came in here and they looted. But what happened after they looted these offices, which belong to the Libyan, which are rented to the Libyan Foreign Media Authority, is that some of the journalists here came and started going through the files that the Libyan Foreign Media Authority had on them, and that's the present situation here, where there's been some panic. People have been coming down and on.
Well, when you talk about panic, forgive me for interrupting here, but you talk about panic. You're there in that hotel with other journalists. As you were saying a moment ago, there's a U.S. congressman there, soon to be flown out on a priority flight. What is the mood where you are? Do you feel safe?
No, I personally don't feel safe. I don't want the same type of people that have caused problems in Chechnya or Afghanistan to come here. So I'm not.
You're not feeling safe at the moment. But what about basic supplies, food and water? Are you getting any of that, or are you taking any safety measures?
We should be good. We should be good for a few days. I think an airlift is the best thing for us, or an escort. The international community has to put pressure on the Transitional Council to stop them. There was a young man right now with a rifle. He was essentially telling me, "Do not tape me." You know, it's for his safety, and I perfectly understand. But we need a way out. You were saying a few hours ago that you did hear some gunfire in the Libyan capital there. We're getting reports here of a renewed Gaddafi loyalist assault on the Libyan capital. Have you heard just random gunfire, or perhaps have you heard any more NATO bombing? What else do you know about what could be happening now in the Libyan capital? Yeah, I've heard NATO bombings, and I've heard what could be a bunker buster, which means there's still resistance here. Obviously, NATO's not going to bomb if the regime collapsed. So NATO has bombed, which logically equates to resistance in Tripoli. And we've contacted people, and they've said that what's it called? that they are on the outskirts of the city, and this has to be verified. I'm telling you what I've heard.
Okay, we understand. We understand that. It's very difficult at a time of war. It's very difficult to confirm random reports of whether it's gunfire or NATO bombings, or even, as you were saying, a possibility of a Moab bunker buster bomb, the mother of all bombs, being dropped there. But is there perhaps a safe room for you there in the hotel, a padded room with mattresses where you can seek proper protection?
I don't think so. I don't think so. We all have to stick together. We're in small groups now. At the beginning, we were in a large group because there was a lot of panic, and that's when there was a lot of photo ops here by a lot of the media during the panic, and we are at their mercy. That's the honest truth. We don't have weapons. We're sitting here. We're just waiting. We can't take any action. We're waiting. So our governments and the international community has to take action to get us out of here.
All right, journalist Mahdi Nazamroya in Tripoli from the Center for Research and Globalization. Thank you very much. Journalist Mahdi Nazamroya says that the hotel in Tripoli, where the foreign press has been obliged to stay during the conflict, has been looted.
Yeah, I got fired at the start of the day while I was putting signs saying press. I made signs and put them in the front of the hotel. They fired the hotel. They have snipers. We all feel threatened. It's less now than before, but if the rebels get here, a lot of us feel very insecure about that. There's been looting in the hotel. Right now, I'm in the Libyan media authorities office, which is basically you need permission to be in here. I took the liberty to come in here to show you the looting. So you can see the projector up there was taken, and you can see the ladders that they put. They've been going through the rooms of people, even the looters, young men. I don't think they were dangerous at all, but young men who've just come and gone into all the rooms and started collecting things. You could see they broke the doors, the locked doors, and again you can see the ladders to steal the projectors, computers. This has happened in various offices here. The next few hours for us here are going to be critical. In regards to Tripoli, I don't think that the fighting has ended. I think there'll be more fighting. It's been very quiet here. There've been someone, like they just shot at the hotel, but I cannot say for now what would happen, but hopefully there'll be peace and no bloodshed. But NATO's done all the heavy work. The bombings here are absolutely NATO, and the leaders of the NATO states have to be held accountable as war criminals. They've killed civilians, and we're hoping that we will be safely taken out by an international contingent from the United Nations, not from NATO. The British are talking about evacuating this place only for 5 nationals, only for 5 of their people, not the rest of us.